Super great. Super great. Okay, we're all good to go. Welcome. Thank you for showing up. I can see people as they come on in. If you will, you can, if you're seeing it on my website, now on the phone, it's a little bit different. But if you're seeing it, that doesn't show a place for you to go ahead and sign in. If you're on a laptop, you should be able to put your name and where you're from. So I always love to see that. If you're seeing me from YouTube or from the Facebook group, go ahead and say hi. Put your name in. Let me know where you're from and who's here with me today. This is going to be a short video that I'm sharing with you, a short class, because I've sped it up a little bit just because of the monotony of the painting. But we're going to go over and I'm going to explain to you how I created these wonderful little vases. I have these beautiful vases that sit in my window. I love colored glass. Do you love colored glass? I love how that light shines through and you can see the color and all the different things that, that radiates out of it. I just love the different colors of that. So I thought this would make a great project. And so what I've done is this is on a 4x6 watercolor paper. And it's a perfect size to make it as a card or postcard if you like to send postcards. Personally, I like to stick it in an envelope, write a little something on the back and send it that way. So these are just some fun little cards that you can make, send out as happy mail to people and friends that you know. Now, like I said, I'm Kathy Freeman. My website is kathyfreemanart.com. I am a mixed media artist. What does that mean? That basically means that I like to use a lot of different products when I'm creating. Not a lot of crazy products, but I just like to add a few things. Like if I'm watercoloring, I might use some pencils or some different things in it. And that's basically all that mixed media is just the ability to and the flexibility to use a lot of different things. So let me go ahead and start and I will talk you through this as we're doing this. I would take a 4x6 card and start drawing out some vases, some bottles, different sizes. What I have done with this one, and I'm going to go ahead and just change my view for a second. Let me see. There we go. You can see on here, I know my hand is in the way. But as you can see, different sizes of vases, different sizes of bottles. Go ahead and draw those out. I chose to do 5 just because, remember, an odd number is more pleasing to the eye anyway. So you could do 3, you could do 5, depending on the size. I don't know that you could get it, many more on this small of a sheet of paper. Draw them out. I did all different varieties. I did just a tall cylinder here in the background, and then 2 that are taller and the smaller ones in the front. And I've grabbed my watercolors, and now I'm just going to start watercoloring over this. What I'm using is I like to do it light first. Do a layer that's light and then come back over with another layer to create the darker shade if that's what you want. What you'll see is I'm not painting that bottle itself pink. I'm going ahead and painting the whole bottle, even though it went over the top of the other one. Because if you think about it, when you're sitting those glasses and you're staggering glasses in front of one another, you can see what's behind. And what's going to be fun is to see how when you paint the color over the top, it creates a different shade, a different coloring. So go ahead and put that first layer on. And then when you come back with your second, maybe even your third, it just depends on how dark you want your bottle. That third shade, that second shade, just go down the sides of the bottle to create that illusion of it being round. That creates a darkness. Right here, I'm going on and I'm going to be using the colors of pink, blue. I love the color of an apple green. I'll use that. And then I believe I use an orange and maybe a yellow in here. But just think about what colors that you like. And as you put it down, let it dry. So work on another bottle, come back, let that one dry. And then that way you can put on a layer. And it's the layering in watercolors that make it so beautiful. Now I'm going ahead and adding the orange to this one. And as you see me do that, it's just any orange that you have. It's just a plain old ordinary orange. Usually when I do my bottles, I always, like I said, the tops, I do a little bit of shading, a little darkness. Around the edges, I do a little bit more shading. And then down around the bottoms of it, I will put a little more color so that it, if you notice, that's how the light, but in the center of the bottle, right in the center, I leave that the lightest. It's purple. That's the other color I chose. I couldn't remember, and I don't have the picture in front of me right now, but just go right over the top of the other one and just create these fun little bottles. Now, what I'll be doing is I've already had in my stash of extra papers in that, I made some tissue flowers. And so what I'll be doing is adding those tissue flowers out of these vases. Just right now, what I'm doing is I'm actually adding a little brown shading on the bottom. So like it's sitting, you don't want it floating in the air. Putting the darker towards the edge of the bottles to give that image, that illusion of the shadows of that, and going around just lightly placing this on. Now, obviously, I've got my brush going fast. I've sped this up just so you don't see, but watercolor for me is very relaxing. I love to just layer it, take my time, come back over it again, and add a little more to it. It's just a very relaxing modality for me to actually play with. Yes, you will see sometimes people will say, well, I can see the pencil marks and that. And, you know, for some people, they don't like that. But for me, that's just kind of the characteristics of the watercolor, is to have a little bit light. So when you're sketching out your design, do it lightly so that it's not distracting. Do you notice I've gone back now? I'm putting another layer and I made this darker, but I wanted it to really still have that other bottle shining through, because it's glass and you can see the glass and that behind each other. So that was just a fun way to do that. Have you posted in the comments if you have tried any tissue art yet so far? Have you done it before? Have you just watched my work, what I've been doing with it? And does it look like something that's interesting to you? Is it something that you might find interesting in doing? I always have made myself a nice little stash. So when I just sit down to do a project like this and I'm just enjoying something for myself, then I can go to my stash and look through and go, what do I have? And actually, see, here's my flowers. They are what gave the inspiration to even make the bottles in the first place, because I was trying to decide what to do with these larger flowers that I had created. And then I thought, well, I'll just make it some vases. I typically like to always, when I rip the white away, I try to get it as close to, and this is a personal preference, get it as close to the image as possible. This one I even took off some of the leaf and got it really close to the vase. It's a fun way to collage. And you can play with it and figure things out and work with it. And that's exactly what I'm doing here, is I'm just rearranging these flowers, making them smaller and trying to decide which ones fit. And I decided that works for me. I love that one. Now, I use matte medium for my glue to glue things down. And so you might prefer, a lot of people use Mod Podge. I don't personally, because if I want to come back over and put maybe some coloring on top or use some pencil or something. That's a little more challenging with the Mod Podge because it's a finisher. That's what its purpose is, to finish something, to create that surface and protection. But with matte medium, it acts as a glue, and it still gives you enough tooth and that to it, especially if you use matte medium. Then you can go ahead and do something over it. I've completely dried this, and now we're at the end of it, and I thought I'm going to go ahead and add the leaf to it, so I'm just coming back in. This time, though, I am using acrylic paint, not my watercolor. I've got a very fine brush, and the green that I'm using is a little bit more of a moss, kind of that apple color, moss-colored green, because that's what I originally used to start with. And creating that stem going down into the vase, so that you can see it through the glass, just like you would see a normal flowers, grouping of flowers. And we're just about finished with this project, but there's so much more you could add to it if you wanted to. If you wanted to spend a little time and go ahead and put around it. There, we finished it. Let me get back on here. There are so many more things you could do to that. You could take your watercolor pencil and outline around the flowers, and then take a watercolor brush, dip it in water, and then come back and go over those lines. And what it does is, if you haven't done this before, it bleeds it out, it blends it out, and it creates a shadow. So it almost makes it look a little 3D. I wanted to keep mine very simple, abstract. I just loved that look of simplicity to it. You can go back in if you chose and you wanted to have more definition and, kind of define it a little bit more, and use either a pen. You could use a pen, or you could use the watercolor pencil. I like to use a white jelly roll too, and go back in and do a little more defining on your flowers, and have those pop out. So you, as the artist, have the choice of how it is that you want. And I am here to encourage you. Get out your watercolors, make some time. I hear people say a lot of times, well, I don't have time to paint, and or I don't have time to really create. And I think what's stopping us with time is the fact that we think we have to have everything out. And sometimes when you're doing a big project and you have a lot of materials to use, it can become overwhelming. And it's like, well, I'll just do that later because I've got so much to do. But these little projects, the nice thing is you use very minimal, few, items to create it with. Your watercolors, your watercolor brush, the images that you're going to collage on, and some matte medium, and that's it. So simple and easy to do. And you can have these done and, done in a very short time. All right, that is all for today for this project. This will be replayed back on my site, kathyfreemanart.com. Go there, click on where it says Little Art Village. A quick way to get to the Little Art Village is to put myartsisters.com. That is the fast way for my members to get right to their little village to be able to get to the library. But if you put in myartsisters.com, it'll open up the Little Art Village. Go down towards the bottom, you'll see the gallery. And in that gallery, this will be posted, as well as the one that I showed yesterday. These are just short, quick projects, except for the one I did yesterday was one I did myself. It took longer. But these are going to be short, quick projects that you can use, that you can do when you find that you just have a little bit of time and you want to be creative, all right? So you can watch those there, and they'll stay there for the next month or so. All right, have a happy Friday. Kathy Freeman with kathyfreemanart.com. I'm going to sign off, and thank you for joining me. I will be back. You will find a little email. You'll see a post that says, join me for another video. I will be visiting with you again soon.